Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossing Route, the brand new NFL podcast brought to you by Adani's Gamerspace. I am Adani, the Dolphin fan. Joined with me, two co hosts that will hopefully be joining us on a regular basis. We have Maul and Halladin. If you would, please introduce yourselves.
I guess I'll go ahead and go. What's going on, guys? My name is Maul, and I've been a Steelers fan for 14 years now, and I'm really excited to talk football with you guys.
Yeah, I'll pick off my name is Haldan, and I have been a Saints fan most of my life, probably longer than I can remember, from back when they used to wear bags on their heads to actually being relevant in the NFL. So excited to talk football and everything about it.
Back in the Aaron Brooks days.
Oh,
Y'all are old.
It's true.
I don't like change.
Jim Fassel. Jim Fassel and Aaron Brooks, man.
Oh, Billy Bobs and Billy Bobs.
Hey, you don't have to feel bad.
Saints.
I had Cam Cameron as a coach, so.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what I don't know what any of those references are. I think I'm just too young.
14 years. I mean, technically, 14 years ago was was Cam Cameron maybe 2007. So
I didn't pay attention to anybody but the Steelers, so I didn't know at that time.
Understandable
for sure. So let's just start with what we had our first official week of the NFL and of season 2022-2023, and there was a lot that happened. So let's go with Maul first. What was your biggest takeaways from the week that we had?
The biggest takeaways from the week for me personally was there seemed to be only two, maybe three teams that were prepared or like ready for week one. Like every other team seemed like, or game seemed like it was a struggle. Everything was close, which I think we're not caveating, but just to reference, there are 0 games in week 2 that are where a team is over a 10-point favorite for that team, for that game. Everything is close this season. If you're not the Bills, the Chiefs, and it feels weird because I think the Vikings just played like a solid all-around football game, but Green Bay always treats it as a bye week 1, so it doesn't matter. So, but like, go ahead.
Last year does. That's pretty much it. Like, Aaron Rodgers takes the first week off and has basically 2 or 3 games where he's just getting in tuned with the team. Like, he accepts the first 2 to 3 games are just basically practice runs for the team. And
the live 7-on-7s he gets sacked in. Yeah.
Preseason extended, right?
Yeah.
I do want to mention real quick. I mean, the Minnesota Vikings do generally have 2 of the best skill position players in the NFL with Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. So I mean I can definitely see.
It showed. Jefferson had like 180 something yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, that was insane.
Well, Justin Jefferson's really good, and he's definitely a top 5 guy at the position. I'm a little biased because like the roster that the Saints have, the offense is insane, and like it's going to be an interesting race for the NFC crown this year. Like, you get some of the teams just look bad, like they just look unprepared, and some of the games like seem really unbalanced. I mean, the box score doesn't really tell it, but like if you watch the games or watch highlights of the games, you can definitely tell people are doing their like best to catch up.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely you definitely saw a ton of rust I mean, it was everywhere. And do you guys think that might be contributed to the fact that again they are only doing 3 preseason games now? Like, do you think that may have something to do with it?
Honestly,
Well,
I think it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, okay. I think the whole 3 preseason games, it's. I've been trying to listen to a lot more podcasts and a lot more just knowledge from veteran players and new players from the NFL, like not just with the Steelers, but from over. And a lot of the veteran players are. It makes sense. You don't want to get hurt, but then like I can speak from my perspective of what I've heard, like say like Cam Hayward from the Steelers and like Najee, who is a young guy. So it's just 2 different perspectives from like age wise and being in the NFL, where they both said that they didn't care if it was 1 game, 2 games, 3 games, 4 games. They needed to play before week 1, and I mean because like there's injuries, there's you got to get they were just saying it's not the same. I don't remember what football player it was, but it was like no practice is the same as getting hit that first play, like pad on pad with that other person. But to answer the question, because I feel like I strayed away a little bit, I do fully believe that they needed that extra game because in the past, your first 2 games you have all your young guys, and then you have 2 games kind of for warm up for your more veteran guys to get played. And I feel like we really just seen that them missing that 1 game was kind of rough.
Honestly, like as far as the teams that we're kind of watching and rooting for, I watched the first half of the Dolphins and Patriots game. The Dolphins look way more prepared than most teams. Like this is coming from someone that is not a huge Dolphins fan at all, but if you take like the Saints, like you could see the first 3 quarters of that game being so like Jameis Winston was so out of sync with Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry because he didn't get the reps in the preseason with those 2 receivers. And, like, he had much more rapport with it's number 83. I forget his name on the Saints. He's the tight end. But you can see he has a little more patience with him, and they're a little more in tune. He went with him.
I think it's Johnson, if I'm not if I'm not mistaken. But last year, like he did have that report. No,
Juwan Johnson. Yep.
Yeah,
Juwan Johnson. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled that out of thin air. I follow him and his wife on TikTok. I think that's the only reason I knew that.
Oh, I didn't know he was on TikTok. I'm too old for. Well, I do TikTok, but not in the span that some people do. Yeah, I mean, but what reminded me like of the Saints game was definitely watching FSU football during Jameis Winston's career. Was he started the first 3 quarters so slow, and then the 4th quarter he just became a different human being. I don't understand how that happens with him, but he just kind of turns it on. And I think the more he's matured, he stays composed. Before he would force the ball during the first of 3 quarters and get a lot of picks. And now it is he's a little more patient with his reads and be able to do checkdowns. A lot of his big plays were checkdowns in the middle of the game.
Well, I think Sean Payton has a lot to do with that. I think that obviously he's not there now, but when he was there, he helped to get Jameis Winston to realize it's not about playing hero ball. It's about playing leader ball, so to speak.
And what's interesting about that is Sean Payton the last 2 years really didn't call the bulk of the plays. It was Pete Carmichael. Pete Carmichael. I'm surprised that somebody hasn't picked him up for a head coaching job, because
he might be next on the.
Every player that they interview kind of, says Pete is like, if it wasn't Sean Payton, it was Pete Carmichael kind of driving that offense. and making the plays the last couple of seasons.
I mean, the game that sticks out to me about Pete Carmichael, just so I can interject, if you don't mind,
Of course.
is the Trevor Siemian game last year, I believe against the Bucks.
Oh my gosh, he just
like who else can do that with just the situation they were in when all the injuries were for the Saints, and you were just playing like with backups and everything versus like this loaded team, and just who can call those kind of plays, you know what I mean, and like execute with the third, fourth string. I mean, to Trevor Siemian's like credit, he was a starter for a couple seasons, but we know the caliber of quarterback that he is.
Yeah.
And that was just insane and a testament to Carmichael, I think.
And the caliber of the Tampa Bay defense. So, I mean, that's, to make sure to be, specify that.
Yeah, but the Saints are the kryptonite to that defense every year.
I mean, Tom Brady's 1-4 against the Saints as his career as a Buccaneer, and his only real win was because Drew Brees was gassed at the end of that season when they went into the playoffs. And he didn't have the arm he had busted ribs, and frankly got lucky that game, that because they didn't score a lot of points during that game. It was the defense scoring those points and making the plays versus Tom Brady's arm, because he was not very good in that game. I think he only had let's see.
Well, you gotta remember that I don't even remember what I was gonna say now. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, while he looks that up, just a quick comment for my team and then your team, Adam. He was commenting that the Miami team looked way more in shape and just way more ready, but if you have to practice down there in 100+ degree heat condition, they're focused on speed, man. If you can't hit me if I'm running faster than you, that's just a fact. That's what's going on down there.
Well, the addition of Tyreek Hill is ridiculous.
Him and Jalen Waddle with Raheem Mostert, it's the fastest trio in the league, skill position wise. But just to comment on what we were talking about the preseason and seeing how that could fit the Steelers game. I don't know if you guys watched it, but it was one of the craziest games ever. It was so super crazy. But a stat from that game is the Steelers defense was on the field playing for over 42 minutes.
Wow, that's incredible.
And our offense played like garbage, but we did enough to win. But towards the end of the game, we had TJ Watt is confirmed that he's partially tore his pec and he'll be out 4-6 weeks instead of the season, thank God. But Cam Hayward went down, Levi Wallace went down. We started seeing that okay, these guys didn't get all these reps in an extra game or so, but also we didn't see much of Mitch Trubisky on the offensive side either, because he would come in for 2 to 3 drives maybe during all those preseason games, and Deontay Johnson made an amazing catch, but other than that, Najee had 6 yards. We didn't run the ball.
Yeah, and
our leading rusher was Chase Claypool on end arounds.
That's the problem, is they make them forced to play quarterback, and that's just it. Najee Harris is such a big weapon for the Steelers that they. I didn't watch the game, but I the stats is it felt like they loaded the box a lot and tried to prevent big.
That's all you have to do. Our offensive line doesn't. And that's another thing. I feel like so many teams from last year to this year. For instance, we seen in the Super Bowl. What was expected to be the Super Bowl this year? I guess the Bills versus the Rams, very first game of the season. Where was the Rams O-line? They gave up 7 sacks. The Bengals versus us, we had 7 sacks on the Bengals. That new reconstructed O-line they went out and paid a bunch of money for.
Lyle
a lot
Collins.
of those guys they didn't play together during the preseason. They were sitting people. They didn't get to build that chemistry to like and to be fair, like we did, but our O line just sucks. Like in the sense of like, I mean, our starting Mason Cole, the guy that we got from the Vikings, center wise, he also got injured during that time, and we had to put Hasenauer in, and they can't get anybody off the line. But that's something like that some teams I feel like have benefited from, and some teams took it in a different direction. Say like the Bengals, where they were resting certain players on the line, giving some players reps, and then we saw that like whenever it came to playing together, they didn't have the chemistry needed to go up against a touted defense, say like the Steelers or the Bills or anything like that. So we're seeing like drastic sides of things.
Yeah, I was worried about during the Saints, just the way the defense played. They like the front four was really struggling against the Falcons front line, and it definitely is like the week one is crazy. Like after watching most of the highlights and like reading like the box scores and stuff like that, it certainly is.
I think it's just like I said. There's only a few teams right now.
And I will say that speaking to the offensive lineman situation is this, there's just that there is an extremely deficient there's a huge deficiency in quality offensive linemen, and I think that as football has evolved, pass rushing has become such a extreme staple over the last 20 years. I mean, obviously it was basically what stopped Tom Brady from going undefeated. Like you see the change in the NFL, and we've gotten better pass rushers, but we haven't gotten better offensive linemen. So like you can't really be better at offensive linemen. You are as good as you are at standing still and keeping people away from the quarterback. So like that doesn't evolve like the defensive lineman position does and has.
I mean, granted that I can understand. I see that for sure, but there are some world beaters as far as offensive linemen that have gotten better. Like we lost him this year because of an injury-prone season, but he went to the Dolphins.
Teron
Armstead. Armstead. He's just
Oh yeah.
I think when healthy, he's a Trent Williams type talent.
He looked great against Matthew Judon. Like he did some great work this week.
I mean, you could definitely tell that. On the other hand, the Saints really miss him in that position.
Yeah, but the Saints have been really good at drafting offensive linemen. Like they've been outstanding at that.
The rookie Trevor Penning is going to be one of the most interesting prospects once he gets healthy.
I hate that.
Oh man. Now, see, like as an offensive lineman, he is basically the same mindset as Aaron Donald. He's an asshole. Pardon my French. But
go ahead, and then I'm gonna tell you why.
But like that, I saw a couple of videos of him talking about like being an offensive lineman and the mindset you kind of have to have. You kind of have to be a real kind of just aggressive person, and he said it. He was like, "I get paid to physically assault people." That's the way he would. That's the only thing you need to hear from an offensive lineman, because they have to deal with Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, T.J. Watt, J.J. Watt, like just the amount of like real characters and people with actual just way more athletic humans on a play-to-play basis, and you have to have that mentality to be aggressive. And they're not nice people. Most offensive linemen are not nice human beings, but that's why they are the way they are, is because you have to get physical and you have to get mean. And he has the perfect mindset. If he can put the mindset with the actual like
Yes, sir.
raw talent that he has as a lineman, he's going to be that top 5, top 10 guy. But it's just about level of competition and getting technique. He got beat a lot during the preseason on simple things, and that's concerning but not unfixable because they've turned multiple average linemen into spectacular linemen. Like most of the Ramchek was considered kind of mid-grade as far as draft picks in the first round, and he's become one of the better linemen. It's
Yeah, that's true.
their offensive line coaches is whatever he does is magic, but like he's got magic hands.
Magic hands.
But like
It's-
I really miss Tyron Armstead. You can definitely see that big hole in our offensive line. The Falcons were able to get a lot of pressure on Jameis through the first 3 quarters and really get in his face, and a lot of disguises as far as coverage, and really gave him a lot of problems. But I don't know. That fourth quarter switch. He went under the tent. He was hurt. He went under the tent limping. Came back out, and he was a different human being. I don't know what they put him in, but like the man has
Steroids.
They sent out robot Jameis Winston.
LASIK Jameson.
Oh, did y'all see the interview that he gave afterwards? He's like, oh, all praise to God. He said, but there was just pain, and she was like, okay, well, what kind of pain? Was it emotional? Was it? He's like, oh yeah, all the pain. It was every pain. He was all over the place.
Oh,
He just looked like he wasn't there. Like he was just like, yeah, we won. It was pain. Pain.
that man is a different human being, and he did a podcast with Mark Ingram and Cam Jordan. I would recommend watching it as far as like football stuff and getting that mindset of who he is. Like I don't usually watch like tons of football podcasts, but it definitely is entertaining. Like you can see why he has those leadership skills. People they gravitate that kind of like goofy arrogance that he has as a quarterback. And now he's kind of calmed down in his later years.
Speaking of calm quarterbacks, I just want to take a quick caveat. Adam, how do you feel about your Miami Dolphins this year? I've talked about my Steelers. I said that our offense is whatever, and our defense is spectacular. We obviously have his take on the Saints, but how is your team this year? We said that we already praised them for being highly conditioned and everything, and I would kind of like to add them to teams that seem prepared. They kind of slipped my brain, but are you excited?
Oh yeah. I think that while there were a few instances of, there were some weaknesses that I saw. I felt I was very happy with the with the overall production. I was definitely happy with how they used Tyreek, use our $30 million receiver. As best if you're gonna target somebody, target him. I think he only had 11 targets and 9 receptions, something like that. So we used the crap out of him. He was our leading. It wasn't our leading rusher, but he had the highest average. He had 1 rush for like 6 yards, which was the highest of any of our rushing. So other than our running game, which we definitely need to make a difference, definitely need to get it going. I think that we went really well. I mean, if you look, there were a couple of things that were really pleasant surprises. There was an undrafted rookie named Cater Cowhu, who he I don't like PFF ratings, but he was the highest PFF rated rookie. Like for the first game of the season, he had a forced fumble. He didn't allow a reception, and and he also had a pass breakup. So like he for his being his undrafted free agent rookie first game against the Patriots, he was all over the place, and it just got some. And I always make the joke. I made the joke that I said Igbo. I hope you were taking notes, because he's been with the Dolphins for this is his third year and hasn't been able to really make the field. But yeah, we get this guy. I think that the biggest question mark for the Dolphins is definitely we need offensive line depth. We only have 7 offensive linemen on the roster, and 3 of them got injured. Now, granted, I think they're all fine, but 3 of them got injured during the game. So we had a point where we were down linemen. So lots of good stuff. Tua made some big boy throws. Also had a couple of misses. He needs to stop playing hero ball. I mean, just like I was talking about with Jameis Winston. It's all about it's this idea that especially when you're up. I mean, obviously Jameis kind of had to had to play some hero ball, but don't try and play hero ball when you're up. 2 scores.
You needed Tua to play like Mitch. Like just take care of the ball and don't lose the game.
Yeah. And granted, I mean,
I think.
Go ahead. Good.
No, watching highlights of the Dolphins games, because ironically enough, I paid attention to the Dolphins games because Adam is a big fan. So, like,
Adani,
I wonder how. Excuse me, Adani. Just because you're always interested in knowing how other teams are doing, and now that Steelers are your team, I'll pay attention also. He really felt like he made kind of big strides.
Oh yeah,
Tua. Definitely, the accuracy is way better than it used to be, and that comes with age and maturity as far as being in the same system and now having actual credible receiving threats and weapons in general.
Yeah, well, to be fair, he didn't really have a system last year. He had go out there and make a play.
Do what you can.
Yeah, it was basically.
And then the year, because this is his 3rd year, right?
Yeah, this is his 3rd year.
But I was saying the year before that, it was like, hey man, we have a bunch of broken cars out here for receivers, so just chunk it up, and maybe Preston Williams is healthy enough to be down there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, with that said, I mean, Tua, he hasn't. There's only been 1 or 2 games that he's actually been able to put the game on his shoulders and win it for us, and that's that's where we're gonna have to see that. Those are going to be the moments where we really have to see who Tua is and all that. But when it comes to making the throw, getting the first down, all of that it's not always just the quarterback is the we need to establish a run game. Every NFL quarterback has a run game to support them, even if the run game is screens or something like that. It's every. I mean, obviously, this. Are you talking about the Steelers?
Yes, I am.
Well, maybe your quarterback would have been better if you had a run game going.
Yes, I fully agree with that, but it was bad. It was bad.
But yeah, I'm happy with what I saw, and I'm excited to watch the Baltimore game this Sunday. I think it's a good matchup, and I'm a little scared of Lamar Jackson since we put the woodshed on him last year. So I'm nervous to see what his retaliation looks like, but we'll see.
Who you play next week, Paul?
We have the Patriots, so hopefully we lay the wood like they got down there in Miami. So, who's the Saints got?
They're playing the Bucks. So
Oh,
it's two
that's good.
division rivals back to back. Tom Brady looked interesting his first game back.
You could say dog.
He looked like he was playing the game. I
He
mean,
looked like Aaron Rodgers.
he looked like he wasn't paying attention. It's fine. Like,
Yo, you know who is worth talking about on that offense? Julio Jones looked really solid. His 3 catches for 69 yards, nice. You know,
Waddle also had 69 yards.
hey, look, Bama on Bama crime. It's hate crime. But also nice. The with the Bucks. Yo, so that brings me to the Bucks game where they just beat the Dallas Cowboys, where Dak actually is going to be missing a lot of time, significant time with a hand. Like, I think he has a broken hand. He has to get surgery on.
Yep.
But they've had a lot of health issues at the receiver position, and their number one receiver was CeeDee Lamb. They did not play the rookie that they drafted, Jalen Tolbert. They did not play Michael Gallup, and all they had was CeeDee Lamb and then whoever Noah Brown is. But CeeDee Lamb got targeted 11 times and had 2 catches on the game.
Oh, jeez.
Shannon Sharp went down saying that he's like, oh, I know what his favorite candy bar is during Halloween. Butterfingers. Butterfingers. And that reminded me of another rookie in the Green Bay game. Christian Watson was wide open quite a bit before they pulled Aaron Rodgers, and he dropped like 2 touchdowns. just down the field, just drop.
What's an interesting stat from the Tampa Bay game is Leonard Fournette had 127 yards.
He is back.
He
had
healthy.
a crazy sick block too. Like,
and
that chip block on Michael Parsons.
Von Miller posted on Twitter. He's like, "Hey man, they need to remove this." And it's like, if they need to remove any type of block, do you not remember the block that T.J. Hawkinson did in the preseason versus T.J. Watt, that where he went low, and then the same one, I don't remember who the player was, but that did it to Kayvon Thibodeau in the last preseason game as well, where like they went low instead of going high. Like that, and it's like, man, it's a chip block. Like, he's helping out. But the crazy thing to me about Leonard Fournette in this situation is, I remember when camp started, everyone was like, oh, he weighs way too much. Like, he has so much weight on him, he has to cut down. Oh, is he the next Eddie Lacy? Like, what's the issue we're gonna have? And then they rolled him out week 1, and he was rolling over people.
Mm-hmm.
It was really. It must be nice to have a running game. I'm sad.
I mean, if you look at the stats, Tom Brady didn't have much more than Dak Prescott did, and they made almost the same amount of the attempts. Dak only completing 4 less and leaving the game. His QBR was 53.
Yeah, it was not very good.
I mean, his age is definitely showing, although he'll probably blow us out of the water next weekend, and then we'll have to have that conversation. But
I'm excited.
I mean,
at least you won't lose to Mac Jones.
Oh man,
I don't think anyone would, other than the Jets. I don't think anyone's going to lose to Mac Jones this year.
Our run defense is very concerning versus the Bucks because they gave up 100 yards to 120 something yards to Cordell Patterson, 120 and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Cordell Patterson is a freak of nature. Like, nobody understands why that's working over there. Like, to be honest,
that's the only thing they really have going for them. Drake London, well, I'll give it to him. He actually looks pretty good.
Where was Kyle Pitts?
Lost behind Tyrann Mathieu and that goon squad in the backfield. That is and Marcus May, because
I forgot y'all picked up Marcus May. That's why, and Tyrann. That's why you were able to get rid of Chauncey Gardner.
Oh well, the only reason they got rid of Chauncey Gardner is because the talks blew up and they wanted to give him less money and he wanted max money, which he has been playing like an actual max money DB, and that was even BA or Dennis Allen. He even said that it was a mistake getting rid of him because they had him for another year and they could have franchise tagged him. They could have done something that kept him on the team until.
That reminds me. I know we need to start segmenting in something else, but the Eagles are another one of those teams. So I'd say there's about 5 teams that seemed like they were ready, they were prepared. I know the Eagles it seemed like they had a little slow start, but like they picked it up faster than a lot of these other teams that had a slow start. And once they took off, it got kind of scary.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but at the end, they let Detroit come back from like down. They were down like
scary, man. You can't like. They're not like one of those teams where you can just be like, we'll just cruise on to this victory. Nah, man, they're gonna scratch and claw, and you have to like play the entire 60 minutes of that game.
They're gonna bite your kneecaps off.
That defense
is but a flesh wound. Should be their mascot.
That defense on the Eagles doesn't look great, and it fell apart in the fourth quarter. Giving up 144 yards to a running back and a touchdown is pretty substantial. They played the Eagles. The Eagles played the Lions.
The Lions.
Oh, that's right. DeAndre Swift had a field day.
And on the other side, Jalen Hurts got 90 yards rushing, and Mike Sanders only got 6 more yards. Like they both scored a touchdown.
I'm gonna say this, and then I'll let Adam Adani this take us into a different place. But to me, the Detroit Lions offensive line is one of the most underrated offensive lines in the league. What they've been able to accomplish in the draft in these past few years and free agency and just like homegrown build. I love their coaching staff over there. I love their team mentality. I hate Jared Goff, and it's the only reason I can't root for him. But
Jared Goff still ain't good though.
If they had literally hold on, let me think. If they had like Jimmy Garoppolo, I'd be like, okay, they're in playoff contention like easily.
Oh,
and
I can see that.
That's how good and I think that team is.
Well, and how bad the NFC is as a whole.
That's also fair.
Yeah.
I mean, the AFC is stacked.
Yeah, the AFC is incredibly stacked compared to the NFC.
Not the AFC South. Let's be real.
That
AFC South.
So just so we're clear, this will be the next topic here. The AFC South is currently winless, and 2 of the teams played each other.
Yep. That was brutal.
Lead tie. Which I can't see much. We almost did the same thing, but regardless.
Yeah. But we had. I don't know when the last time we had a first game tie in the NFL. Like, that's crazy.
You know what's more crazy about that game? Jonathan Taylor, our reigning rushing leader from last season, our crowned king, if you will, had 166. This is just off the dome, so I'm sorry if it's like microly wrong. But as far as I'm aware, it was 166 yards rushing, and they still lost.
No, they tied.
I mean, not lost. I mean, to me, if you tie, you still lose. It's not a win.
See, technically, hold on.
You're still undefeated. Don't get me wrong.
Hold on. Technically, if the season ended today, they both would make the playoffs.
That's so sad.
That hurts me. No. Wait. Actually, I do believe there's more teams that have won in the AFC than that would get in over a tie, because a win still counts more than a tie.
There's 16 teams in each division, and if I remember correctly,
the AFC North went 3-1 this weekend. Just want you to be aware.
Yeah. And the AFC North went 3-1. Okay, so the Dolphins. So yeah, I guess maybe that changed. Hold on, because 2, and 3. So yeah, I guess it would be 2 AFC North, 3 AFC North, 2 AFC East, and 2 AFC West teams.
Because the Chiefs and
The Chargers.
the Chargers won.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that Chargers Raiders game was so horrendous. I wish I didn't have to like set my eyes on it. I wanted to set them on fire actually.
Yeah, that was.
I'd rather watch the tie.
That was
It's so sad. Derek Carr and
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams didn't look in sync.
Yeah, no, they didn't. They didn't at all.
They didn't play together in the preseason almost at all. I don't think they did actually almost because I think
mean,
Devontae was like just trying to rest.
Let me take that back. Devontae Adams had 141 yards and a touchdown. That is my mistake. I will correct that.
No. There were definitely plays like
But
there
Derek
were
Carr with
highlights.
3 interceptions is just not going to win you any games.
Literally, there was highlights where there was 3 people around Devontae, and he tried to play Joe Burrow ball from last year with Jamar Chase, where it's just like F it. Where Joe Burrow after in the thing he said F it, Jamar's down there somewhere, and he just threw it up.
The Raiders, I'm pretty sure they got 4 possessions in the fourth quarter and couldn't do anything with it. They were down by 2 touchdowns, and they got the possession I think 4 times in the fourth quarter and couldn't do anything.
They scored 6 in the fourth, which is kind of ridiculous with 4 possessions.
Can I ask you guys, who was the biggest team for you guys that like kind of really like surprised you with the win this weekend?
Whew.
The Giants.
Because I have mine. The Giants.
The
Who did they play?
Giants. They played the Titans.
Oh yeah, that is surprising.
Saquon Barkley is a beast.
He's back,
He looks
baby.
healthy. He looks healthy.
Back. I'm
164 yards and a touchdown. That is ridiculous.
If you would have told me that he had that, and then you had told me that Leonard Fournette had what he had, I'd be like, dang, bro, are we like 5 years in the past? Like, what happened?
Yeah, the Titans had a chance to win it at the end of the game, and they missed the field goal to let the Giants win, which brings up another crazy point. We had 5 games this 5 games this weekend that were won either on a last minute field goal or on a missed field or were lost on a missed field goal. That's crazy.
Block, yeah.
Like
the Saints game ended in a block punt off of a dead ball foul that got them in range for 63 yards.
I saw that. Yeah.
So, like, that's insane. It's insane because, like,
Yo, I feel you on like insane like rulings. Our game was also decided on a field goal because we had to block a field goal to go into overtime.
An extra point, not even a field goal. An extra point.
An extra point. We didn't do anything with it. They missed a chip shot, and McPherson was their hero last year, but their long snapper was injured, and so it was a high snap, and he didn't feel like he had time. And then we missed, and then we ended up getting a sack it was a sack fumble, but it was an old rule where they weren't allowed to pick it up and advance the ball, so it was a dead ball from where he advanced it, like where he picked it up on the 50, which made them punt so we can go down and kick a field goal. Insane. Stupid sequence of events.
Yeah. Another runner-up as far as surprise wins is the Bears at the 49ers.
That was going to be my number one. The Bears surprised me.
Trey Lance looks bad. And
Trey
I mean...
Lance is bad.
He is genuinely bad. And the way, he is like...
He looks like he was from...
the Shanahans are gonna regret drafting him and spending 3 first-round picks getting him. That's going to be their legacy in San Francisco. Both both the father and the son. Really bad decision. The worst. And then the way they Jimmy Garoppolo, like any team is worth its salt would have traded Jimmy Garoppolo away to get the locker room for Trey Lance, but now it is such a weird space they live in because now they're not going to trade him because.
Well, he restructured his I don't know if you saw that. He restructured his contract to be the backup.
To be there. And that's such a weird spot because...
He just wants to win football games, man. either that, like everyone respects him, and I think he knows that Trey Lance is not going to be able to do it, and he's eventually going to get like he's betting on himself right now, just very silently and not saying it out loud.
It's such a weird situation being like the starter for so long, actually taking a team in the Super Bowl and like
not doing anything wrong but losing your job.
Yeah, so like a product of a coaching regime that didn't really want him, and
he had injury issues.
Yeah,
so
and just
say nothing wrong.
There's been worse cases, I guess, of quarterback changes.
There's Ryan Tannehill.
Oh my god, Justin Fields doesn't look great, and that's another one that is.
Hey man, Justin Fields is doing what he can out there. I don't think they would win without him. To be fair,
I mean,
but I'm not saying that the win would be easier without him, because I'm not easier without him, I should say.
Yeah. Joe Burrow looked a little bit out of step.
He threw 4 interceptions, got sacked 7 times, got hit 3 more times, and had a fumble, 2 fumbles.
His offensive line, man, you guys, just ruined that offensive line. It just embarrassed them. I was watching the highlights earlier, and no offense, kind of a Joe Burrow fan, being an LSU guy.
I like Joe Burrow, even though I hate the Bengals.
Having, they're kind of my pick in the AFC as far as teams go. I'm sorry.
Ouch.
No offense. You always.
I like my lean-ins.
When you have Tiger sons, you always bet on Tigers. That's my gentle boy behind me.
Outside of your cat.
Yeah.
That sucks. But no, two other games that I wanted to touch on real quick. The Browns winning with Jacoby Brissett versus the dumpster fire that is Baker Mayfield and the Panthers.
Hey, they put it together at the end.
Let me say this. And the biggest one to me was the Commanders and Carson Wentz coming out like his MVP season, and
that was MVP season Carson Wentz. For
sure. Jahan Dotson as a rookie receiver looked like the real deal. He had two touchdowns. It was amazing performance.
I would say on that Browns game, Baker Mayfield, while having modest stats, still had better stats than Tom Brady. If you look at that, that is a tell of a situation. Jacoby Brissett only threw for 147 yards. That was all Nick Chubb. Their offense was just Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
There you go. It was Kareem Hunt was a big factor.
That 1-2 punch.
Just 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
1 receiving, 1 rushing.
Yeah, you could it's definitely like vintage, going back to the Saints, Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, where you have that bruiser and the finesse guy.
One doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Which he just proved why he wanted to go somewhere else and be the guy.
And Christian McCaffrey, another takeaway from that game, really doesn't look like Christian McCaffrey.
He still doesn't look 100% at all.
And I think that's just sustained injury every season, and I just don't think he's a guy that's going to stay healthy from now on. And
I think it's also just a mental thing. You get injured so many times, and you're a running back. You get banged up every play, and it's easy to say that it's like, oh no, I'm ready, excited to get back out there. But just like as we were saying in preferencing earlier, where some guys in preseason are like, no, we need to get out there because it's not the same as getting hit or popped or whatever. For running backs that have had chronic injury issues, I could imagine that there's a huge mental hurdle there that has to. Also, I just have to say real quick, because I mentioned the Commanders, I hope for a speedy recovery for Brian Robinson, who got shot in the shot twice in the robbery or the attempted robbery a few weeks ago, and they said that there's very good hope that he might return. And if Carson keeps playing like that, he might return to a winning football team and help take them to the playoffs.
he did look shaky at times, like the very inaccurate, making bad decision. But I
That's just
feel
Carson
like,
Wentz.
I mean, it's the Jameis Winston syndrome. At some point, he's gonna have a game like last year where he loses the game and he makes the world's worst throws, and like because
He reminds me of Tony Romo, to be honest, but just not as good.
oh that
Just like in the clutch moments, just makes the absolute worst play possible.
So hold on. Yo. All right, hold on. All right,
shots fired. Shots fired.
We need to get away from this. Let's go. So, last night we had a game, the Broncos versus the Seahawks.
Versus the greatest quarterback of all time for the Seattle Seahawks, Geno Smith.
So yes. So we had Geno Smith win the game against the Broncos, against the Russell Wilson returning Broncos, and this puts a very interesting thing in perspective here. They are now in the lead for the NFC West division, tied with nobody. They are by themselves at the top of the NFC West. The Seattle Seahawks, led by Geno Smith. What?
And I will tell you that I think it was 2 players got traded to the Seahawks by the Broncos. It was Noah Fant and Drew Lock, if I remember, and then it was like some picks. Noah Fant only had 3 catches. Drew Lock doesn't even start. They traded Russell Wilson for pocket change, essentially, and then looked at him as he threw for 300 plus yards and was like, "But we won, though."
So that's the crazy thing. All right, so going back to that, the crazy thing that we're looking at in this NFL since we started the season, we had 10 different starting quarterbacks that were new to the teams that they played for that were starting this year. 10 new ones. We were basically playing who's that quarterback for for a third of the NFL. So,
by the way, as much as he talked about the Saints-Falcons game, I did not hear him one time congratulate Marcus Mariota on taking care of the football and playing some not very good football, but he started the game.
I mean, he started on fire, and then he did the most Marcus Mariota thing he could possibly do, which is disappear into the background. It just wasn't bad, but he wasn't good. That's the whole Titans run.
His whole narrative of that game, by the way, wasn't like because they were drafted 1 and 2.
Oh no, it was. If you watch the local broadcast, it was very focused on kind of like playing that narrative, and that was the whole.
Watch that football.
Oh man.
I'm just kidding. No, the Falcons. I don't watch the Falcons. The Saints, I like.
Oh, no.
I'm concerned. Speaking of the Saints, I'm concerned about.
Maul. Okay, Maul, turn your camera off and turn it back on. You're doing the seizure thing again.
That's hot. Hello. Whoa. Am I good now?
Yes, it's good now.
Awesome. Yeah, see, look, talked about the dang Falcons and started having a seizure.
Oh man. So the Jets are still bad. I mean, that's.
Yo, Joe Flacco put up 300 yards.
Dude.
That says the Ravens secondary sucks.
And somebody got injured, didn't they? Somebody got injured in their secondary. No, okay.
I don't remember.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I thought somebody got injured because they were complaining about it on the there's something wrong with Baltimore's turf and that because they're getting so many injuries.
Yo, there was so many because you had Russell Wilson versus the Seahawks, you had Joe Flacco versus the Ravens, and you had Baker Mayfield versus the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever seen a situation to where, like you were saying, that there was different quarterbacks, like 10 quarterbacks starting on a new team this year,
Mm-hmm.
in a situation where, like, week 1, we had like of those quarterbacks facing their former team week 1. That was just kind of like a strange coincidence.
And then we're gonna have, whenever Deshaun Watson comes back, we'll have Deshaun Watson versus Houston.
Yeah.
His first.
I mean, we're gonna have
his first game back.
Yeah. By the way, I didn't watch the Green Bay game. Do we know why Aaron Rodgers was pulled for Jordan Love?
Because he was playing like crap.
Okay, so he was probably high off shrooms or something.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, he was on the Pat McAfee show today, but I mean, so
Probably cared more about that than Sunday, to be honest.
probably, yeah. I mean, him and AJ Hawk go way back.
So, do you mind if we make those 2 picks, Donnie, for next week?
You wanna do some picks? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So I was mentioning this to Donnie, and for next week's games or something fun that we can do is like one solid pick and say why, like our game of the week to us, and I mean obviously we could say like our game or whatever, and then who we want to win and why, but then also have like an underdog team that we expect to win or to shock people. Yeah, if you want, I can go ahead and go first and just give you my game of the week.
Why don't you give us the rundown for next week's games?
Okay, yeah.
We can decide while you're telling them out.
Yeah, so Thursday night football, we have the Chargers versus the Chiefs. That's the you have your interconference interdivision undefeateds, and so out of that game, actually, that means that the winner of that will be the only undefeated in that division.
That's true.
We have the Patriots versus the Steelers. We have the Jets versus the Browns, which sounds like another terrible game to watch. We have the Commanders versus the Lions, which seems exciting but also terrible. We have the Buccaneers versus the Saints. Be exciting.
Should be a good game.
We have the Panthers versus the Giants, which sounds like a toilet bowl.
Just sounds like a bunch of toilet bowls.
Yeah, it doesn't get better, I promise. There's the Colts versus the Jaguars.
That's going to be a barn burner.
Yeah, when did the NFL just start sucking so bad? We have the Dolphins versus the Ravens, which should be a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm.
The Falcons versus the Rams. See how both of those teams kind of bounce back from adversity. I think that actually might be better than anticipated. You have the Seahawks versus the 49ers. Go Gino. The Bengals versus the Cowboys. Poor Cowboys. The Broncos versus the Texans. Cardinals versus the Raiders. Bears, Packers. Titans, Bills, and Vikings versus the Eagles. So, out of that, for me, my game of the week is actually, I feel, it might shock a few people. I'm gonna choose the Bears Packers game. And the reason I'm doing that is because I don't know why I like Justin Fields, but I like Justin Fields. And the Packers-Bears game is always like really competitive, and they have the Packers by 10. And we've seen the Packers get blown out last week in week 1, and then come back and blow out their opponent week 2. So there's a lot to prove in this game, and just with their competitive nature, I think both quarterbacks have a lot to prove. Justin Fields needs to make sure that this keeps going. Little known fact: the Bears went undefeated in the preseason, I do believe. So they are undefeated this whole year so far.
So are the Ravens.
So are the Ravens. So are the Steelers. Fun fact. But that is my game of the week so far. And do you want me to go ahead and do my shocker, like my underdog pick, or do you want to just do?
No, you can do it.
Okay, well my shocker is gonna be y'all might not like this. I don't know, but I was just gonna tell you I think the That's what I said. Man, it might not be a shocker. I think the Seahawks go 2-0 over the 49ers, who the 49ers have a way better roster, by the way.
Yeah.
But
Deebo Samuels is fantastic.
yeah, it's insane. But I have faith in Geno. They are my underdogs. I think with the roster the Seahawks had, they could be 16-0 and going into week 17, and I'd be like, they're the underdogs. Like, that's just how I feel about them this season. They're just, I don't know how the Falcons are going to win a game. Their roster is garbage, but I feel like the Seahawks are equally garbage. But I'm rooting for them. So go Bears, go Seahawks this week for me. That sounded gross out of my mouth.
All right, what you got, Hallidan?
Well, I mean, my game of the week, I think, is an interesting, it's going to be an interesting game to watch. It's going to be Carolina and New York. That's going to be a good game. That's going to see if Baker Mayfield is actually.
Is it going to be a good game or just
it's
so
going to
bad
be
that it's close?
It's going to be a close game, and it's going to, the Carolina's defense is really going to have to step up and just try to deal with Barkley, and their DBs are really going to have to focus on man coverage simply for the fact that Barkley's going to be such a threat out of the backfield. Daniel Jones plays interesting last week. He's an interesting cube. He's just a guy that's you never know. He's kind of on the fence. He's in year 2, right, or 3?
No, he's in his last year.
4. This was 4 because they didn't pick up
he's in year 4.
They didn't pick up
his 5th-year option.
Well, this is
literally prove it or die.
He's in the weird limbo where you have to kind of make it or break it year where you have to earn that contract. And I honestly, the quarterback class out of the NCAA is not that great next year.
Bryce Young, Tyler Van Dyke.
Maybe.
I'm not gonna say Spencer Rattler. I think he's still garbage.
You just listed 2 third-round picks. Great.
Yeah.
You think Bryce Young and Tyler Van Dyke will be third-round picks? You're insane.
I think the more competitive game is going to be the Minnesota Vikings at Philadelphia.
I like that game
on Monday night.
Yeah.
That is really going to be an interesting game.
I had the Vikings winning them.
Jalen Hurts has been excellent. He looked excellent in the preseason. He looks excellent now, and Minnesota's playing good. But this is Minnesota in a nutshell. They're good in the beginning of the year, and then towards the end of the year, they go downhill. They don't have Kirk Cousins. I don't know what it is.
Ho. Kirk Cousins, to me, is the most underrated quarterback for what he's produced statistically, not win-wise, but statistically. He has not had a non-4,000-yard season since becoming a starter in the NFL, and that is not easy to do consistently season in and season out.
But he's the same kind of guy that makes bad decisions. When
he is also Tony Romo.
Okay,
slightly better Tony Romo, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. Carson Wentz is the worst Tony Romo. Kirk Cousins is a better Tony Romo.
I mean,
and both of those people were drafted by the Commanders.
I would personally take Kirk Cousins over Mitch Trubisky any day of the week.
Oh God, yes.
Please. I don't understand.
Got drafted.
I don't there's only a handful of guys that are playing right now that I would say are in the top, top echelon of court, a higher percentage. Some guys that are kind of in the mid, This is a definitely interesting year as far as transitioning to the next generation of quarterbacks.
I mean, I think right now it's going to go week to week to Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, based off their performances.
Patrick Mahomes did sound out this year. To
5 touchdowns, 0 picks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to toot anybody's horn, but Jameis Winston looked fantastic in the fourth quarter.
Hey man, All I gotta
Just
say
look
is,
like a different human being. I'm just saying, as far I gotta rep my guy. Crab Legs is my man right now. So like,
hey man, listen.
he's eating W's and he got LASIK surgery. He's like LASIK's Jameis. That's
Listen, Mitch gets another win. We're going to the playoffs.
Okay,
Steelers,
before we get too off topic,
the 2-15 Steelers are making the playoffs, guys.
fuck yeah. Adam, what about you?
Ouch.
What's your picks of the week?
Game of the week and underdog.
All right. Well,
Man,
my game of the week is the Thursday night game because the Chargers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I really want to see what the Chargers defense does to stop Patrick Mahomes. I think the Chargers defense may be a little overrated, but Khalil Mack did look like a beast. So, but we'll see what that looks like. The Kansas City defense is always like butter. So like pudding. So like I always expect it to be a really high scoring game. That division just hasn't, like, unless you're the Broncos, that division just hasn't had good defense in a long time. So
they have good individual players, bad overall defenses.
Right, exactly. So it comes down to, and that's always what feels like it's everything skewed over in the West because there isn't really good defense and
There's a Big 12.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think overall, when it comes to quality of gameplay, I think that's the game of the week. The underdog game, obviously, I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins because I'm confident we're the underdog going into Baltimore.
Against the Ravens, yeah.
So going into Baltimore, hostile territory. They're coming off a win. We're coming off a win. They have a crazy good front seven, but their secondary is iffy. So if
it's going to be speed versus speed.
Yeah,
really.
So I'm really excited about the game, but we are the underdog, so I'm going with my game, I think either way, I think the game's going to be great. I don't think that either team's going to win by double digits. I think it'll be real close. I hope we can get the win because we got the Bengals and the Bills are our next two games after the Ravens. So if we can finish this 4-game stretch 2-2, I'm happy.
Well, I have one last question, and then I'll hand it over to you, Donnie, to try to wrap things up, I guess.
Yes, sir.
But with the Broncos being the only team in the NFL after Week 1 not scoring offensive touchdown, do y'all think that's going to be something that they can accomplish against Houston, who surprised everybody and tied with the Colts, who was supposed to basically run through them?
I think Russell Wilson will find a way. He's too good of a quarterback not to find a way, to be honest. I'm a huge Russell.
Well, the reason I ask that is because everyone's questioning the coach right now. That's the big hot topic, and even he said, looking back on it, I should have went for it on 4th and 5 instead of kicking the field goal.
Yeah, 4th and 5 was, especially. I mean, you
pay your quarterback $256 million to not get 5 yards.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, I had that problem with Flo.
Well, he's doing wonderful for our linebacker, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, Flores was real bad about taking the ball out of Tua's hands when we needed it most, and I was when we got a 3rd and 1 this week in against the Patriots, and I said the curse of Flo has been exercised because he was so bad at drawing up a play to get us 3rd and 1, like saying so. So yeah, that's where I stand there. But yes, I think that coaching is. I think the casual fan in general discounts coaching way too much. I think that they don't really understand how important coaching is, and even just looking at the difference in Daniel Jones. I'm granted it's one game, but you're talking about a pretty significant difference overall. Even though he had Saquon Barkley, but we're talking.
But he hasn't had any run game any years prior, so you're getting to see him with some stability and with the coach that like is trying to believe in him and let him let loose.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw what Joe Judge did with the Patriots offense. They looked malignant. They looked terrible. I mean, and like the crazy, and this will actually bring me my last pigeon point here. My topic point is that, they looked really bad, and Bill Belichick brought them down to the Miami a couple days early to try and get them acclimated to the weather. But when it was all said and done, Bill Belichick went out and said, "Look, they just made a couple more plays than we did. We beat them by 13. It wasn't a couple more plays.
Well, technically, it could just be 2 plays for touchdowns and it'd be 14 and they would have won. But yes,
yeah,
I understand what you mean.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's a difference in the sense of Bill Belichick is a coach that's been coaching in this league for 30 plus years, has been successful for 22 of those years, but all of a sudden he loses to Tua Tagovailoa 4 times in a row, and all of a sudden it's excuses. No. It's not.
No,
it's not.
I mean, coaching is one of those highly unregarded things. Like me being a Steelers fan, I have to listen to as we all do. But the biggest thing that's always talked about the Steelers is Mike Tomlin needs to go somewhere. Mike Tomlin needs to go retire. He needs to be fired. He needs to be this. He needs to be that. Well, we're winning football games. We've had, was it 18 winning seasons or something like that? No, like 15. He's had like 15 straight, 16 straight. Like we haven't had a losing season under him. We went 500, but still not a losing season.
No.
And to be able, like, that in itself is so underrated. Like being it, like we had a couple years ago where we had the same situation as who are we talking about earlier where they were just playing with like a bunch of it was the Dolphins. It was Tua, like his first year.
Yeah.
We were just playing with all the backups and everything because everybody was hurt. We did that with our backup quarterbacks. We had Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges and nobody out there, and we still ended up going 8. It was 8-8 at the time because we only had 16 games. But like the abilities, like, okay, if we got rid of Mike Tomlin, who could do the same thing with the rosters as Tomlin? You know what I mean? Or a Bill Belichick, and now, okay, who was really the piece? Was it Bill Belichick or was it Josh McDaniels and some of the other people before that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like it's so important. I mean, to see who, like. But then you have the other side of that coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the Lions coaching staff. That's one of the coaching staffs I feel like people know more about because of hard knocks and things like that. And you see the passion, you see what they try to tell you, but that doesn't always equal wins. So it's so important, but it's also like it's not black and white. It's not, by any means an easy thing for us casual fans or even hardcore fans at times to fully understand. But I'm glad that was a point. That was a point that got brought up. But like, I think Bill Belichick is garbage.
All right, gentlemen. Well, I think this is brings us to the end. Well, let's see if we got any. Do you have any extra anything else you guys want to get on here before we wrap it up?
Tom Brady's going to be 1-6 versus the Saints come Monday morning.
I have the Cowboys being the first pick of the draft next year.
Ooh.
I have San Francisco being the first pick of the draft. Oh wait, that's the Dolphins.
No, we're not what you hoped for.
Hey, I'm just saying that Trey Lance doesn't look good. So I mean, the Dolphins have the.
No, but they have Jimmy Garoppolo to fall back on. So,
well,
Dak has Cooper Rush and Will Grier. Raise your hand if you know where they play college. Or anything about them. Exactly. I can't tell you where Cooper Rush played, but like I know Will Greer played for West Virginia after he transferred.
I think
That's all I know.
I think Reed Sinnett is out there, so they want to pick up the Dolphins' preseason hero last year.
They need to pick up what's his name, Binkert, the backup for Aaron Rodgers and them for a few years. Oh, or they could trade for Mason Rudolph. Give us some more O line or somebody. Give us Micah Parsons. We'll take Micah Parsons for Mason
We got
Rudolph.
Teddy Bridgewater for sale. You want a Teddy Bridgewater for sale? You can have one of those.
We need more quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett. Who, by the way, we got told that Mike Tomlin he doesn't plan to switch over to Pickett unless he absolutely has to. But his plan is for Pickett to ride the bench like Mahomes did behind Alex Smith.
Sounds like a plan. I think that's a good idea. I think Kenny Pickett needs it, and I think that they're in good shape to take care of that. Especially
if anything, keep them from getting hit behind that garbage ass O line.
Sheesh.
Well, all right, everybody. Well, we appreciate you coming and hanging out with us tonight. Remember, this is Halladin. This is Maul. No, there it is, Maul. They will be our co-hosts. We'll have another co-host hopefully next week. Make sure to hit the like button if you like the video. Make sure to also hit the subscribe so you can make sure you get all the videos when they're posted. Hope you have an amazing week in football, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.
On the crossing route.
That was good.
That was very good, but very long.
Yeah. I'd say in about an hour. It took about 30 minutes to keep going.